Hi, thanks for tuning into High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're talking about the new Hellraiser reboot, the 11th film in the series. We now have a female Pinhead and a whole new plot. We're going to open the box today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, John, so now that we could relax after that Halloween Ends review, what are we smoking this episode? I'll tell you to you listeners out there, make sure that you listen to our Halloween Ends review.
Yeah, we had to take a couple dab hits before we moved on for that. But I got another pre-rolled here. I got us some peanut butter breath. It's also known as peanut butter or peanut breath. It's a hybrid strain known for its sedating effects. It's crossed with Do-Si-Do and Mendo Breath, which I actually have a pre-rolled. Maybe we'll get to that one next week, of Mendo Breath. Peanut Butter Breath has a unique nutty and earthy terpene profile when smoked. Beyond the terps, the strains will bring you down in a quality state of chill and relaxation, which we needed after talking about Halloween Ends.
Perfect to save it for now.
Originally from the Thug Pug Genetics, Peanut Butter Breath is very popular, and there's many Do-Si-Do and Mendo Breath crosses out there. Breeders Clout King have one called Peanut Butter Cup. It is high in THC. This one is 21.1%. And our feelings are relaxed, sleepy, and hungry. And but negatives are anxious, headache, and paranoid. Oh, we finally got one that doesn't have dry mouth.
There we There's not going to ever be a time that I don't laugh at that.
I don't know why. We're stupid. But I'll spark this bad boy up.
All right, cool. All right, so Hellraiser, or Hellraiser, as some are calling it, is far from a remake of the original classic.
How did I miss that? It's perfect.
Hellraiser?
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that one online.
Well, director David Bruckner, who's directed The Ritual and The Night House, thought that doing a remake of Hellraiser is undoable due to the style and the lightning in a bottle that was the first film. Instead, David took the series in a new direction for what is the 11th installment in the series.
Man, they're catching up to Halloween, huh?
Yeah, and if you beat a dead horse 11 times, does it come back to life? Can you go to space and back and insert a fourth actor into the role of Pinhead, this one being a girl and the other two having failed miserably in the role, and make a good Hellraiser movie?
Your last good one being the second one?
Well, we'll find out in a few, but first, let's get into some of the new directions that David took this film in. First up, let's talk about the Cenobites. The Cenobites look fantastic. There's no way around it. I really dig how the Cenobites' clothing is carved out of their flesh. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
it's grotesque and beautiful at the same time. It's sadistic and fitting. My son Abel actually saw a picture of the priest, Pinhead, and on my phone, and he said, "Ew, what's wrong with her neck?" And I realized that these Cenobites are so fucked up looking that I can't even show them to my kid. I can't say that about the original Pinhead. So that's really cool that they look that extreme. So first up, let's talk about the new Cenobite, the Gasp.
I was going to say the Doug Bradley talking about Pinhead when we were a kid. Around his age, I mean, I knew who Pinhead was, and it did not look as grotesque as these Cenobites look.
Right, exactly. Well, let's talk about the Gasp, played by Selena Lowe. She's a new Cenobite, and this one looks crazy. She's kind of got the top of her head peeled down. She's an obvious homage to Angelique from Hellraiser Bloodline, the fourth in the series in the film. The fourth
some say
film
best.
In the series.
Nobody says that.
No. But she also has some sort of vaginal mutilation going on, but the camera doesn't focus on that enough to really get a clear shot.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. But it was, you're right. It's obstructed enough that
you can tell something's going on.
You can tell something's going on, but not what's going on.
Right. But the Gasp has the best line in the film, and that's "Save your breath for screaming."
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, obviously they're going to also recycle some lines in it.
Yep, some iconic lines. We have another newcomer Cenobite that's creepy as shit looking, called the Creeper, played by Yinka Olaronov. I hope that I said that right.
You mean the Weeper?
What'd I say?
The Creeper?
Did I say the Creeper?
I thought that's what it sounded
If that's
like.
what I said, yes, I meant the Weeper, played by Yinka Olarunev. Now, I hope that I said that right. You all listening know I'm terrible with names. This one has like big black eyes and cries blood and has a messed up mouth. Her bottom lip is pulled down in like a nasty, inhuman way. And then there's the ass sphinx, which John really liked because he's not happy until he gets his ass fixed. Jesus. But anyway, the ass fix is played by Zachary Hing, and this one has some like flesh-looking material or something pulled taut over its face, so it doesn't have any distinctive features and solely goes off of hearing. This one was creepy. Then there's the mask, played by God help me, Volkason Jovanovic. Hopefully I said that right. That's only because I practiced it a few times before you hit record, but this one's one of the best looking ones. He's not in the movie very long, but he's in it long enough to get a good look at him. And he has no head, just a neck and a piece of skin pulled taut and eye holes where his face should be. Yeah. Very cool. My wife said to me that one's creepy as fuck, which made me laugh. Another one that you don't see too much of is the mother, played by Gorisha Regodic. This one is also disturbing looking. It has a lot of mutilations going on. Her whole body is like skinned, and she has like this like veil that droops around her head, and also she's pregnant. I didn't notice that the first time around. Did you notice that she was pregnant?
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, right. Like, who the hell's the father of that child? Well,
something from hell, probably. But yeah, and then you're getting to my favorite, which is an old Cenobite.
Oh yeah, then we have the Chatterer, played by Jason Lyles, and he did some work as the Crooked Man. He goes uncredited for that in The Conjuring 2, and also played Ryuk in the 2017's Netflix's Death Note. Chatterer looks great, man. He kind of looks like Ilagos from season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I said it, and my wife goes, "Holy shit, he does look like Ilagos." But he doesn't just stand there and he's twisted as hell looking, and most importantly, we actually get to see him in action. He doesn't just stand there and chatter his teeth like he did in the original films. I think the only
that was always my favorite from the original. So
he was your favorite Cenobite? Yeah. Okay, that's just because he looked cool, right? Like, I mean, he does look badass.
And the chattering teeth, like whenever I would think of the Cenobites, that would be the first one I would think of.
Because it's just like an unsettling sound, right?
Outside of Pinhead, obviously.
Right. Well, I think that, the only thing that the original Chatterer did besides like chatter his teeth was he put like he put his hand or his fingers in Kirsty's mouth in like a weird kinky way at the end of the film.
Right? My man, he get his fingers sucked.
Almost like Mankind's finisher, Mick Foley. But anyway,
mandible claw.
Chatterer does some work. He's awesome in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he always the I feel like the MVP for Pinhead.
Oh yeah, he's always the right hand man. Well,
always.
Well, now that leaves us to talk about, lastly but not least, we have the priest, Pinhead, played by Jamie Clayton, who is technically a Disney princess since Disney owns 20th Century Fox. I think she's absolutely gorgeous, man. I love her. Here's the thing. You're going to laugh at me, and you're going to make fun of me, but Doug Bradley said that he had people write into him that said that they wanted to bear Pinhead's children. They had, like, a kink. I thought that shit was crazy, like, until now. Like, I legit think that this Pinhead is sexy for some reason. I think she's sexy as hell. I can't explain it. Am I weird for that?
I also... I mean, you're a little weird, but I want to say, like, I feel like all the ads we saw before, like, is not what they showed in the movie. Right. Like, I feel like everything we saw, like, leading up, the artwork was basically looking pretty much like a Doug Bradley one.
Yeah.
And just changed to a female. And I really liked the entire look of her with, like, the, like, kind of, like, pinkish. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like they did a really good job. It's hard to replace Doug Bradley. Like, it's hard to replace, as we saw, Robert Englund. Mm-hmm. It's hard to replace somebody that's been in that role. And she does an amazing job. Like,
yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I agree.
If you had told me coming into this week, I mean, spoiler alert, I'm not giving my rating, but if you told me coming into this week that I would like the Hellraiser movie better than Halloween Ends, I wouldn't have believed you.
I know, that's what I thought, man. But yeah, so David Bruckner, he knew that he was going to be doing a female Pinhead, but he didn't know how exactly he was going to do it until he saw Jamie Clayton's reading for the role as the priest. And as soon as she read the lines, it all fell into place as to how the new Pinhead is going to happen. He said like something she did with her voice, like just made it, he pictured it in his head.
That I was going to bring up the voice when I got a chance. I was going to say, the whole time before she talked, I was like, what's this going to sound like? Mm-hmm. I like the voice a lot too.
Yeah, agreed. I 100% agree.
It's still, it's androgynous,
right?
But you can still tell it's a female voice.
Yeah, you can tell there's female to it, but like I said, it's androgynous where it sounds like a man enough to make you contemplate. And
it doesn't feel, and where it's at, like. Doesn't feel that different from Doug Bradley's. Obviously, it's not as deep.
But it has that. Yeah, but it has that same like.
It has that same authority.
That's a very good word. Yes, and so yeah, she really killed the audition. And the funny thing is that she watched the original for the first time just the night before her audition. And as I've said before, the Pinhead in the novella, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, is androgynous with a female voice. It was never the Pinhead that we got with Doug Bradley, even though he rocked it. So having a female play the role isn't a big deal, nor is it any further from the source material than Doug Bradley's version was. I like what Jamie said. She actually said, quote, "This film's version of the priest is now a woman, which takes the burden off of the audience from trying to compare the performance of Doug Bradley's iconic portrayal of the character." Kind of goes with like what you were literally just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give her enough praise. I was very apprehensive about it switching because there hasn't been a switch so far. I guess maybe James Jude Courtney, but it wasn't. It was still being influenced by Nick Castle.
Right. That's true. That's very true.
But like when they switched from Robert Englund, it wasn't that good. When they brought in what's his name, Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah, for Chucky.
And that was the one thing about the Chucky movie, well, Child's Play, that I thought I would be okay with is I like Mark Hamill. He does good voice work as well. So I thought that, I'd hate the movie, but I'd probably like his Chucky. No, yeah. I didn't like him as Chucky. I thought he was terrible.
I agree. Jamie Clayton also had never done a role in which involved wearing prosthetics before. And so she'd never worn prosthetics before in any role, and to play the priest took anywhere from 4.5 to 6 hours to get into makeup.
I was just about to ask. I literally was going to say, I'm sure you might have some numbers. You usually do, but I was going to say, I wonder how much time it took for the makeup, and then comparing that to the original.
Yeah, I don't remember how long the original for Doug Bradley took. That would be nice to see to compare numbers, but I do know that. She said that Jamie said that once she was in the neck piece, once she was in that makeup, she was in that for the duration of the day. There was no getting out of that. She gets to deliver the line, "We have such sights to show you," and Jamie said that it was an absolute fucking blast to get to say it.
There was one line missing that I wish was in there. I'm too fucking high. I can't even remember the fucking line. You called, we came.
Oh, the box opened.
Yeah.
You opened the box, we came.
Yeah. I was hoping for that line in there, but...
Yeah. That's the iconic line, but they kept one of them.
Well, I would say this is probably the more iconic one.
That's true, probably.
They're both up there.
Pinhead doesn't speak a lot, but everything he says is iconic. So it's kind of like everything's iconic,
I was surprised how much Josh liked this movie.
Yeah, our producer... gave this movie.
It's probably the best movie he's seen this entire year.
He gave it he told me, he messaged and said it was a 3.3 out of 10. I was like, get the fuck. We'll get into that later. But, so Clive Barker was involved in the making of this reboot. He and David Bruckner actually got along very well and would call each other out of the blue whenever one of them had an idea. And Clive actually said in an interview with Bloody Disgusting that, while talking about David Bruckner, he said, quote, "I've seen his designs and I knew roughly what direction he was taking the movie. I realized this was a whole new ball game and my contributions had to be post David." And David said that Clive was a true creative ally and that he constantly asked David questions that pushed him to understand his own story. And David did a reboot instead of a sequel because the original series, he thought it would be like really hard to trace in the original film to trace the original film in strict regard. There we go. And
yeah, I would also say, especially because you would be switching the Pinhead character, so I feel like that would make it even more of a pain to have to do all of that as well. You'd have to find a way if you're trying to do the Halloween template of connecting it back to the OG story. Like, you would then have to get some story about how, like, it's not Doug Bradley.
Yep.
Like we have a much different Pinhead now, so then you're already going to have to work that into the story. So yeah, I think it is easier just to like basically say you don't need to worry about Doug Bradley. This is its own movie.
Yep. And I completely agree with you. I said that Doug Bradley was actually asked to be in this film for a cameo, but he respectfully declined. He simply wanted to just be known as Pinhead and not some character cameo in his replacement's film.
Dude,
I get it.
Me throwing shade at Nick Castle.
I get it.
I'm not seriously implying that.
I get it, though. I understand. Like I said, he respectfully declined. There wasn't any animosity, and he actually praised Jamie Clayton's look as Pinhead. But the one thing is, we get no Butterball, the obese Cenobite.
That was probably my second favorite.
Yeah, he's not in this one, but I don't
he repping for all us fat Cenobites.
I don't really think he's that missed with all the cool new Cenobites we got, but it's still, All right, well, the next up, we'll get into the box. I'm going to quote some of the lines from the movie here. So
I really
in this
liked
explanation,
the box.
Yeah, me too.
That's what he said.
It looks badass, does it not? I mean, it's a total faithful homage to what the original box looked like, but it's very much updated.
And like the box in the first one was okay, but literally like one thing it barely shifted. It just kind of spun around and snapped back in place.
Right.
This thing like turns into different objects and
I feel like it has a personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like how the way a house has a presence in a haunted house movie. I feel like the box had a personality. It was like a little tricky bastard in this one. Another difference is the box from, like we just said, it's different from the original films because the box makes a little more sense in this one. It's more complicated, but also easier to understand somehow. Like the game is explained. There are levels of this shit, and in this Hellraiser, when you see the box, a blade sticks out of it and cuts you open. Besides that, the way you solve the puzzle and its rewards are explained. There are 6 sides, 6 configurations. Whoever solves the final configuration is granted a passage to another realm, to an audience of God. This God offers choices to whoever holds the final configuration. Once you get there, you get to choose your ultimate desire, which was life, knowledge, love, sensation, power, or resurrection. So we get to see the rewards that the box offers you besides just the punishments. All right, if you don't have anything to contribute, we can you can take us through the film.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did like that about the box. I feel like it also leaves room for like sequels where you can explore the different wishes of what people want. A
lot of people compared it to they were comparing it, especially because the house that they're in that we'll get to, but they were comparing it to 13 Ghosts. I can kind of see that, but it's like I don't think it's like overly like I don't
Having just recently watched that within the last week, I see where they're coming from because there's a different ghost and like each one of the Cenobites kind of represented, a different wish from the box. So, I mean, I guess maybe in that aspect, but wouldn't say too closely.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's obvious.
But yes, Hellraiser is a 2022 American supernatural horror film directed by David Bruckner. The screenplay was by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski.
Now you got a name to pronounce.
I know. And like, I should be better at this with the last name, that I have. But here we are. From a screen story they co-wrote with David S. Goyer. It's the second adaptation of the 1986 novella, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. And then we had the original Hellraiser in 87. And a co-production between Spyglass Media and Phantom 4 Films. And then it went 2 hours. How do you feel about the pacing? I feel compared to the original.
I feel that this one took its time a little bit more. I didn't really mind it. I felt like it did start a little slow, but I was just waiting to get to the good parts, and when you got there, it delivered. So it was like a slow burn payoff type of deal.
And I was also going to say, like, I also feel like it's to use Batman examples, comparing 89 Batman and Nolan Batman. They're two different types of movies. They're both dark Batman movies, but they went different directions with them, and both of them are good. But plans for an original Hellraiser remake commenced back in 2007, and then we've had a bunch of just horrible Hellraiser sequels. Like, to be honest, the original Hellraiser and Hellbound really is all you need.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
And like 2018 Halloween just started kicking everything off. Let's revive all the 80s horror franchises that we ran into the ground at the end of the decade or the early 90s.
I'd have had countless terrible sequels.
And actually premiered at Fantastic Fest on September 28th and then released on Hulu October 7th. And, we start right out at a hedonistic party. What else would it be if it was Hellraiser? It's got to be about sex. Roland Voight's mansion. He has a sex worker who comes across the box. And, you want somebody else to solve it for you, and then you just kind of pick it up. Because
you want to reap the rewards, but not be the sacrifice.
And so a portal opens, and what comes out of portals in Hellraiser? Chains. Chains, like
chains and long dank hallways.
Long dank hallways. I want to know who makes the chains. Do you think they just got slave labor just 24/7 making Cenobite chains?
You got signed chains when you become a Cenobite. Okay, here's your 20,000 chains and use at your disposal.
They got inventories in this shit. You got it. It's hard being a Cenobite.
Hard life being a Cenobite.
6 years later, we got a recovering addict named Riley who's living with her brother Matt. These are characters that Josh said are unlikable and forgettable.
Yeah, our producer Josh was not a fan of these things. Yeah,
I'm still trying to convince him to go see Halloween Ends and then get back to me about which one's worse. But he also doesn't really watch horror movies, so he's just a dick.
Take that with a grain of salt, yeah.
Damn, we going hard on Josh.
No. He's a lot more critical on horror, though. He's a lot more critical on horror than we are. He's definitely not as forgiving.
He's definitely into sandworms, though.
He wouldn't be able to watch something like Tales from the Hood, and get it like we do. He would just see it and be like, "This is fucking terrible."
Riley has a boyfriend, Trevor, and they just decide to go break into a safe. How pissed would you be? If you spent all this time, you couldn't get into it, but your girlfriend did, and then when you get in there, it's just a fucking box.
I know. I'd be like, what the fuck? It better be worth some money.
Yeah, she ends up, taking it home, and at an empty park, she solves the box, but she somehow avoids being cut by the blade.
Yeah. She dodges it somehow.
Somehow, yeah, she dodges it. I feel like she's the only one.
She dodgy.
And we didn't have this with the original box. With just knives coming out stabbing people. And them jaws be long, though.
Yeah, going piercing through your hand.
Especially the one it came out of the hole.
Yeah.
Just went through the hand. That shit was rough.
Yeah. That was a big one.
It's a big one. Oh, I was just thinking of something since we're reviewing these right back to back. This was bloodier, would you say, overall than Halloween Kills? Or Halloween Ends?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Except maybe the final. Well, damn. I guess we'd be giving spoiler alerts on there. I'll shut up.
Don't give spoiler alerts for Halloween Ends.
Hey, if you ain't seen Halloween Ends, too bad. It's ruined. Oh, man. We got too much weed being smoked. The Cenobites, basically, they just deformed humanoids.
Yeah.
They appear and The man she choose another is a sacrifice, which we didn't really have that in the original. The original, you called him, you were fucked.
Yeah, it was like either you or someone you choose. Like you get the choice to kind of pass it on to someone else, which is fucked up.
I'd like to get this box. I got a lot of people I'd like to give to the Cenobites. Anyway, Matt finds Riley blacked out, and he tries to wake her up, and he cuts himself on the box. And then, like you said, he goes to a dank hallway when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Dank hallways just start forming. They also what's up with all the hallways, man?
I don't know. They hallway dwellers.
Hallway dwellers. That doesn't seem like there's really no privacy.
They're just loiterers, like hanging outside of a corner store, but it's hallways.
So they like Jay and Silent Bob, but in hallways.
Yeah, right.
That they teach chatter.
When you don't see, they're over there whistling and picking their nails and stuff like that. And as soon as the hallways start moving, they're like, "Oh shit, time to get in business mode." Where's the box? Where's the box? I'm supposed to be holding the box. Oh, here it is.
And Riley tries to track him down because she believes he disappeared because of the box, and they just her friends just think that she a junkie,
Yeah.
basically. And Voight has a former lawyer who had it hidden in a warehouse, and Menaker tries to take the box from Riley, but he's cut by the blade, and then he's taken by the Cenobites. So she's just sacrificing people left and right.
I'm still trying to get over you saying Voight like that.
Voight. Oh man, what the fuck? Where am I? And then on complete, Riley visits Voight's abandoned mansion, and she finds his journals, and they learn about the box and all the configurations that we talked about. But each requires a victim to be marked by the box's blade for the Cenobite to take. So, you need to solve it, but make sure you don't cut yourself.
Yeah, right.
Protect your neck. On completion, they can get a gift from Leviathan, the entity that rules over hell. And she ends up seeing an apparition of Matt, and she's horrified to discover he's been flayed.
Yeah.
Shit ain't going well.
It's not at all.
But yeah, do you think you keep going, or you just stop using the box at that point?
I would just quit using the box and probably just have PTSD about wondering if these things were gonna fucking come out of the corners of my room at night or anything and fuck with me.
Oh, dude, I don't. Dude, how would you be able to sleep?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think because they come at you day and night. They don't care.
Right?
You could just be
fucking respect.
You literally could just be sitting on the toilet ripping a bong, dropping a
dick, and then all of a sudden Pinhead show up.
Pulling dick's one way to go.
Just give me 30 seconds.
So you could be doing the Elvis. You could be doing it on the toilet. You could be pulling a bong, and all of a sudden you're just cutting a turd, and the fucking hallway's forming in front of you. There's nothing you can do. Cenobites do not care.
Just show up.
Yeah, right.
Oh. So Trevor, Nora, Colin, they arrive. They take Riley home. Riley explains her findings to Colin. And they find the still living mutilated Voight who's hiding inside the walls. He stabs Nora with the box. The group attempts to escape the mansion in a van, but Nora is taken by the Cenobites. Their leader, the priest, taunts Nora, then flays her. That shit was rough.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I gotta say the effects were really well done.
Better than I expected, for sure.
Especially they're just kind of showing the skin just peeling and
it
moving.
wasn't just your a chain pulls your hand out straight out from under you. This shit kind of folded her up a little bit the way the chains grabbed her.
Riley encounters the priest, and then she commands her to sacrifice 2 souls for the last 2 configurations. And or the Cenobites will take her. Trevor's injured by one of the Cenobites. My boy, the Chatterer. Riley solves the next configuration and stabs it. And this is where I thought things got interesting. We've never seen a Cenobite get ripped apart by those chains.
I know, man. Yeah,
I went back
and
rewatched it because I was like, damn.
That was a clever trick.
I was not expecting that. I didn't think it would work.
And the fact, again, that Pinhead, the priest, just has no remorse. Just as soon as it doesn't matter who it is, just Too bad. Boop, you're out. Chain's ripping you apart.
Sorry.
Done.
Be better.
Jesus wept at you.
Jesus wept at you. That's a new term. I think for non-spoilers, I think maybe we might even went a little further, but I think this is probably a good spot to stop here. I really enjoyed this.
Yep, definitely.
Again, I don't know if it's because I saw it after Halloween Ends. That was the first movie I saw next. But maybe I feel like it had this can't be as bad as that. But like I said, I really enjoyed the priest, and none of the changes bothered me really at all.
Agreed.
It's a different story of Hellraiser. I mean, it's not trying to tell the same story from 87 again.
Yeah, I agree.
It has literally nothing to do with that. And normally I feel like that usually bothers me in remakes. It did not bother me in this one. I was going to say, when I saw the Pet Cemetery remake, the changes they made to that story bothered me.
Agreed.
For the plot.
Yeah.
It's a completely different story.
It just seems like a fresh update, right?
Yeah.
Like a brush up, like a quick brush off,
But I also feel the same way I feel about 87 Hellraiser. I wish I had more Pinhead.
Yeah.
But I still feel like this still had more Pinhead than we had in 87 now.
I think it did too, by a few minutes at least, for sure. Well, what would you rate it? What's your rating?
I give it a 7.5.
7.5, decent. Okay, yeah, for me, I personally, I think it's the best one since the original. I think I might like it more than Hellbound. If not, it's definitely top 2 or 3 for sure. Did that spark a thought for you?
I didn't even, which is weird because I feel like naturally for you and I, after we see these movies, it's where does this fit in the series? Mm-hmm. Granted, I have not seen the entire Hellraiser series. 3 was so god awful. I'll have to eventually put myself through them at some point. But 3 was so bad, I stopped.
This is better than 3 by a long shot.
Oh, for sure, it's better than 3. But is it better than Hellbound? I feel like I want to watch Hellbound again before I can say that.
Like I said,
it's been a while since I've seen Hellbound. I don't watch Hellbound nearly as much as I watch the original Hellraiser. But every time I see Hellbound, I'm like, damn, that's just as good as Hellraiser.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's better than 3. So it's
top 3, right?
Yeah.
For sure. For an original story that's not penned by Clive Barker, it's dark and gritty enough to carry the legacy at least this one step forward. I thought the acting was great. I thought Jamie did a great job as Pinhead. I really liked the brother and sister relationship between Riley and Matt. Their screen time together, whether you like the characters or not, their screen time together is short-lived, but they create enough chemistry with their relationship and interactions that they're completely believable, and I think they're very well acted. The visuals in this movie are insane. I love the hallways. We were just talking about the dank hallways that the Cenobites travel and appear out of nowhere in.
The Cenobites look good.
Like in the back of a car, that just fucking hallway disappears when you're chilling in the back seat of your car. What the hell? The makeup and Cenobites look phenomenal. I can't say that enough. I love that there was a touch of Christopher Young's score in there as well.
Yes.
I know the bells and everything.
Yeah.
I know you heard that shit. 8 out of 10 for me. It's the best one since, like I said, I think it's the best one since the original. But I'm gonna rewatch Hellbound too. But I if it's not my second favorite, it's definitely my third. Solid movie. It was gory and messy and intricate. I'd love to see another one of this caliber.
I also want to say we didn't really talk about it, but the house itself. I guess it's more in the spoilers, but the design of the house and the rotation, like all that shit with like the ceiling, that was pretty badass.
Yeah. What I will say that what I didn't like about the movie is kind of a spoiler, so I'll wait to get into what I didn't like. But there was only really one thing I didn't like. So for those of you who
Josh's attitude about this movie,
for those of you listening who aren't scared to go into the spoiler territory, you'll find out what I don't like about it there.
Yeah, so if not, just go to Motel 6. They'll keep the light on for you.
We'll leave the light on for you.
Okay, so if you're still here, I'm going to just start off this by telling, by speaking on what I didn't like, and that was how I didn't get it. I don't remember. I think it might have been Chatterer, but one of the Cenobites forced Nora to make a blood sacrifice by actually just like she just appeared in the hallway, and then which was like really like the other side of a wall in the house, but the Cenobite just comes up and like stabs her with the blade sticking out of the box. Like she didn't do it. She didn't make the next configuration herself. Like it was kind of forced upon her. They just came up and stabbed her with it, and that was the blood sacrifice that they used for the next configuration. That's cheating. I didn't like that aspect. I didn't like that they just like kind of forced it on someone. Besides that, there's not much I didn't like.
That's fair. But getting back here, the group makes it back to the mansion. They realize that the steel doors are designed to lock the Cenobites out. I said that weird. I said oop. Riley and Colin leave Trevor to rest, and it's revealed that Trevor has been working for Voight to find people to sacrifice to the puzzle box. That was pretty fucked up.
Right?
I didn't see that one coming.
That was a good twist, man. I went, what?
And then, yeah, I mean, obviously you're in spoilers, so jumping a little bit ahead with that. Like, I thought he was going to redeem himself, but no, he doesn't. The whole time I was like, oh, I was waiting for him to be double crossing that dude or something.
Right.
Like, I'm still like with you guys.
Yeah, same. I
was
expected
waiting
that
for
too.
it, and I was like, no, he's just scumbag. Yeah, so it's revealed he's been working with Voight to find sacrifices, basically. Riley and Colin trip a Cenobite, the Asphyx. I can never say. Asphyx. To become the last sacrifice, but Voight appears and stabs Colin with the box. Voight reveals that he sought new pleasurable sensations after completing all of his sacrifices, but his reward was a contraption attached to him. That shit was fucking nasty, where it had like all of his tendons.
Yeah, right.
Basically, he didn't have a heart or anything. It was just this big combination lock is basically what it looked like.
Yeah. It was like somebody put a fucking harp through him.
Yeah. So, his reward was that attached to him, and it twists his nerve endings, so he's always in constant pain. But it said, I believe it said something like, it twists him enough that he won't stop feeling pain. It just like twists to the limits.
Yeah, he can't relax. He can't ever relax. It sucks.
And it won't go far enough that he loses the feeling.
Yeah.
That's some pretty elaborate shit for the fucking like Cenobites. He completes the final configuration and traps the Cenobites, demanding they ask Leviathan to free him from his gift. Leviathan appears in the sky above the mansion. Riley retrieves the box and unlocks the steel door, letting the Cenobites in. So I guess the Cenobites got helpers too, like Michael did, right?
Yeah, right.
But nothing that made me mad. Riley saves Colin from torture by stabbing Trevor, choosing him as a new final sacrifice. Trevor is mutilated and dragged to hell. Meanwhile, Voight bargains with the priest to grant him a different gift, and she offers him power. Voight is released from his contraption and momentarily healed before Leviathan impales him with a large chain and takes him away. I was like, damn, he's going to be okay. And then that fucking changes.
Yep.
Change that.
Yeah, and it's funny because, well, I guess we're not at the end yet, so I'll save. I just really like how what he asked for he gets, but it's not in the way he thought he'd get it. He wanted power. He gets power, but we'll go into that.
Tempted by the priest and the resurrected Matt, Riley refuses to wish for a gift because she knows the Cenobite's rewards are always twisted. The priest tells her that she has chosen to live with the guilt of her actions. The box reverts to the original configuration, and the Cenobites disappear. As Riley and Colin leave the mansion, he asks her if she made the right choice, and Riley remains silent. Meanwhile, inside Leviathan, Voight undergoes a brutal transformation into a new Cenobite. I thought that was kind of interesting that like they took him, but now you know where the kind of answers the question right there, right in the last minute. Where do you get new Cenobites?
Exactly. Well, the Cenobites say to, or well, the priest says to him when he says that he wants power. She says to him, quote, we've established, talking about the Cenobites, she says, quote, we've established power through dominance, and it's that dominance that you'll know, end quote. And that's literally what she meant. Like, she's like, you want power, we'll give you power. We'll give you power. Voight didn't fucking know she meant he'd become a Cenobite. That's the power he gets. He thought he'd fall into some sort of power, but
I'm trying to remember. I forgot to put it in my notes. I can't believe it, but there was actually a name for the lament configuration.
Lament configuration, yeah.
Was, I guess, the not taking a wish.
Yeah, just don't fuck with the box. That's long story short. Just don't fuck with the box.
The box is so cool.
But
like I would still probably, dude. I'd die because I would fucking be like, nah, I'd touch this box.
Well, I told my wife, I said, that's kind of the whole thing, right? Like the temptation. It's like the devil's in temptation, and temptation's in the devil, and it's like the same thing where that box is so tempting. It's like if I didn't know that Cenobites were going to come out of it and make a long hallway appear out of nowhere, a dank hallway appear out of nowhere, and shove chains through my ass, then I would, like, if I knew that was going to happen, I wouldn't open it. But I think anybody who just stumbles upon that box and doesn't know what it is going to want to fuck with it. It's that temptation. It just looks, But also, the symbol on Pinhead's little symbol on her trachea, it's the same thing that like we see Voight laying on when he becomes a Cenobite at the end. I noticed that it's kind of like that crucifix almost. And I really like how, like you were saying, like when the priest is talking to Riley about her decision, like she's really like trying to like understand and see Riley's logic and staying behind and not choosing a desire, like as if like living life is more torturous than what the Cenobites offer, like it's worse than choosing one of their desires.
I mean, she does got to live with the guilt of killing her brother.
I like how there's a twist to every desire. Yeah, solid movie.
Yeah, I mean, we already gave our score. It's done well. It was the 8th most watched program across all platforms during the week of October 14th.
Damn.
I mean, do you think...
that's good, man. That's really good.
Do you think we get a sequel?
With the critical success of this, I think so. The real failure in this is that it's a Hulu original, which means that it's not going to get a physical media release, and that's just balls. Like, I would love to own this one on Blu-ray.
I was also going to say, do you think David Bruckner would come back?
If he's given the same
I would
freedom,
like him to do it.
If he was given the same treatment of this one, I would like to see him come back.
I would like to see more of this explored.
In the interviews that I've seen with him, he didn't seem like he just intended this to be a one film thing. So hopefully if there is more that he'll be on board, because I could see someone else picking this up and doing it and it just failing miserably.
Yeah, that's like, I want a sequel, but I want it if David's going to be back.
Right. It's like what I used to say about X-Men 3, The Last Stand, when it was coming out and everybody was saying that because Brett Ratner was directing it, it was going to be shit. I always said, like, we'd rather see no X-Men 3 than a bad X-Men 3. So it's like you just rebooted Hellraiser for the first time with a good film since Doug Bradley's second performance. Don't tarnish that by forcing out some shitty sequel.
Yeah. Well said. And this as a remakes go, this is one of the better ones in my book.
Agreed.
Would you take this or Friday the 13th remake?
Oh man, that's tough because I really liked them both, but it's like I guess you know what, I would have to say this. I like them both a lot, but I would say this just because this one, like for the Friday the 13th remake, is like still kind of more of the same. That's what I like about it, but it's still like more of the same. I feel like this Hellraiser like changed things enough around to be a totally different movie.
I would agree. As of right now, I would probably go, but then I also worry about it being recency bias. That I'm just like, oh well, I saw this more recently and liked it, but
yeah.
Right now, if I had to pick, I would probably take that as probably this might be the top remake actually.
Yeah, as of right now, yeah, for sure. This or Halloween Ends. Would you rather watch this or Halloween Ends?
Oh, this, like, 1,000 times.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to take digs at Halloween Ends. Sorry. All right, we should probably.
Rob Zombie, you off the hook for a minute.
David Gordon Green.
We coming for you. Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Yeah, I guess, like I said, this is a surprise. I mean, we reviewed both Halloween Ends and the new Hellraiser reboot same day here, but God, this was so much better.
So much better.
In fact, the TV keeps looping. Unfortunately, this is like the second time recording that Halloween Ends is playing, and it just aggravates me every time it's on the TV.
We're just adding numbers to how many times it gets watched, and then they're going to boast about how many people watched it, and it's like, nah, man, you're automatically looping that shit in.
But, going back, Hellraiser, see that one, if you're going to see one of the two.
Yeah, we could say Hulu, because they send us stuff. So
yeah, Hulu?
Hulu's a partner.
Hulu Razor? Or whatever you said
Hulu
earlier?
Razor, yeah.
Anyway, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Check out our website, hohonhorror.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Get our latest episodes and guest announcements delivered straight to your inbox. And send us some questions, because we're going to have an episode for some PPA coming up. So hohonhorror420 at gmail.com. And I guess I'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.